our souls 24/7. Today is a very special day for us because we will be concluding our journey with Professor Andre Lewis in the book And Life Goes On. It's going to be super beautiful. We are going to have to buckle up and bring tissues because it's gonna be a tearjerker. We are going to see Ernesto Zevelinas and Mentor Reber's loving final efforts to bring their families together through the mercy of divine providence. Are you guys ready? I'm sure you are. We can't wait, right, Sunshine?
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you. We are ready.
Yes, thank you so much for shining yet again from coast to coast. Could
Thank
you
you.
please, Sunshine, guide us in an opening prayer?
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we invite you to close your eyes if you can. And in the meantime, we're consciously opening our hearts and our minds, feeling one with the Creator, and we connect with Jesus, our guide and model. And we also say thank you to all the guides, the mentors, the healing doctors. We're saying thank you to Andre Luis and all the characters in his book for giving us these immortal lessons, these lessons that help us align our minds and hearts with the divine teachings, becoming better students, becoming better children of God, remembering that love is always the answer to all problems that we may encounter on this planet. It is forgiveness, it is indulgence and benevolence that will be the guiding light through our daily challenges. And with this, we are excited for the new lessons that will come through today. And it is with gratitude that we ask for permission to begin our session for today. And so be it.
So be it. Thank you, Sunshine. We feel
Thank
the
you.
light shining through from coast to coast. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Shall we say hello to Gabriel Inácio? He's
Hi,
here
Gabriel.
already. Hi, thanks a
Thank you.
million for your presence and big hug to you as well. Shall we begin our journey,
Yes,
Sunshine?
let us do
Yes.
it. We are on page 225, chapter 26, and life goes on.
Life goes on,
It
yes.
does. Caio and Vera's marriage brought Ernesto and Evelina a new incentive to work. Tulio was somewhat better now due to the promise of future assistance from the woman he loved so much, and he agreed to voluntarily enroll in the Reincarnation Service Institute. It is an organization on the spirit plane. He started immediately in one of its miniaturization departments for the necessary preparations. Before starting the process, Tulio was taken to Vera one night when Serpa wasn't home so that he could get to know a bit about the woman who would receive him in her arms as a mother. Evelina suggested that he embrace her, receiving in her the caretaker who would bless him as a son in God's name. Mancini not only embraced her lovingly, but also kissed her tenderly on the forehead. Ernesto's daughter didn't perceive this display of love directly, but she let her mind wander in a daydream for a few moments.
How I would love to have a son. How I long to be a mother.
Based on the truth of what they had been promised, Tullio would reincarnate with Caio Serpa as his father. totally magnetized by his mother's devotion, so that he could be around his former adversary once again and transform resentment into love by means of the therapy of forgetfulness. I think we need to pause already.
I completely agree, Sunshine. Lead the way, please.
Thank you. What is sticking out in particular for me is this last sentence, is to transform resentment into love by means of the therapy of forgetfulness. What is being meant by that? First of all, let us look at resentment. Resentment, the root of that word comes from sentire, which is Latin, and it means feeling. And resentment, resentir, means feeling again, feeling again, feeling again, feeling again, which kind of leads us to what is going on when we nourish resentment in our minds and hearts. It is something that we have a negative feeling about. Probably we feel hurt about something that happened to us, and we can't let go. So we feel it again and feel it again, and it sets the stage for us of how our mind, what direction our mind goes, what we're thinking and feeling. Now, it's never positive what comes out of it, because it also alienates us from other people, because most likely we then start avoiding those who we perceive, either correctly or incorrectly, because sometimes we make mistakes, as the so-called culprits of our over and over negative feelings. So who is actually experiencing resentment, we may ask? And the answer is in the Spirit's book. Spirits on High help us to understand that it is actually only the lower, the less evolved spirits, probably we are part of it, that tend to feel resentment. So it is part of our evolution, actually, to release that that sentiment that is not aligned with love. It is actually not fulfilling God's will. This God does not nurture, does not teach us to be resentful. It comes from, one we may say, from a level of ignorance. So it is part of our evolutionary path. The next thing is, does it serve us? Does it hurt us? Does it hurt us physically? We may say yes, after a while it will, because it will open us up to poison that will be dripping into our minds, which will affect our perispirit and eventually our physical form. Furthermore, it causes our nervous system to be really agitated. So now we're running fight or flight. We're being stressed out. We might become irritable, depressed, and all the ailments of the soul that are a result of resentment. We've learned recently that science has found out that the illness of cancer is quite a bit linked to resentment, but there's other illnesses as well. So it doesn't serve us at all. And spiritually, it doesn't serve us either, because what happens when we have those feelings and thoughts that are linked to resentment? We create spirit attachments that will just mirror back of where we are. And so now we have voices tell us on top of it, oh, don't forgive. And here's the clue. What is the resolution? How can we work on our resentments? Can we? And how? Well, one is we start looking in the mirror. We're doing some research. We're actually helping to understand ourselves better, to see where it comes from, what is going on, is it happening, how can I get out of it, and then educating ourselves that forgiveness is the most potent remedy for resentment. Forgiving the offenses of others. Why? Because in our journey of getting to know ourselves better, we're realizing that we're guilty too. It's not like we're super highly evolved. Most of us are not super highly evolved spirits. So we have done some wrong too, and probably might have caused some resentments in others. So, of course, we're invited to not cast the first stone, right?
Mhm.
So forgetfulness is the remedy. And can we forget? Yes, we can, because we know, I think it's neuroscience who just not so recently found out that we can actually replace one feeling with another, actually one thought with another, which is one of the um, effective ways of releasing thought patterns that go around, negative thought patterns. And we know we can do it through reading, listening to cardiac radio, prayer. So just catching our thoughts and then replacing them with a positive thought, rewriting history, so to speak, in a positive way, taking new
Yes.
pictures, right? And
Right.
so just
Beautiful.
one, yeah. So when Andre Luis or Rivas is saying, so we transform resentment into love, which is when we release via forgiveness, when we release the resentment by means of the therapy of forgetfulness. What does he mean by the therapy of forgetfulness?
Mhm.
He means reincarnation. So God gave us this beautiful gift of always having and getting another chance. And this chance of reincarnation actually puts the veil over our past, which is to our own advantage. Because if we remembered all the little details or big details of stuff we would do, the spirits on high in the spirits book tell us we would be dazzled. Either our vanity would increase and say, oh, look who I was, and look at me, or we would be very upset because we wouldn't be able to take on life without being hooked into the past, either feeling bad or really feeling good about ourselves. So as God gives us the gift of forgetfulness, we are invited to offer that gift to all the people that we might be nurturing resentment to. Because
Mhm.
we're on the path to become more like God, right? It's via reincarnation, via all the lessons we are improving ourselves. We are invited today to release the people we have resentment towards via the therapy, our own within this incarnation, the therapy of forgetfulness, the therapy of forgiving. Right, Carol?
Right, sunshine. Such beautiful remedies for the soul that you just offered us. Thank you so much. We all appreciate it. And Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, our dear friend, yesterday on Kardec Radio at the Spiritual Society of Virginia meeting helped us understand, coincidentally or not, what resentment feels like. Because some of us may say, me, I don't feel any resentment. I'm not a resentful person. Most of us, and myself included, are emotionally illiterate. We haven't learned how to name and identify our emotions very well yet, simply because we are not taught how to do so. So Dr. Vanessa Anceloni gave us a very good pointer last night, and I will repeat it now because it's very helpful. Uh,
Yes.
when can we see what's the thermometer to identify resentment in us? When we think of someone and we feel that emotional charge. We feel hurt when we think of that person. So even though the band aid is apparently there, the scar hasn't healed yet. Why? Because I still feel a little bit of pain. There's a sting, an emotional sting when I think of that person. So, this is what resentment is. This is the sign that we are carrying resentment. And as Sunshine beautifully taught us today, neuroscience is already pointing the way towards healing the soul because resentment is a wound. of the soul. So how can we heal the soul? As Sunshine said, we can nourish our souls positively in every way that Sunshine already mentioned, and we can also do visualizations. We can visualize ourselves past this moment with that very same person that we may carry resentment towards, and we can visualize our Master Jesus and ourselves giving white roses to them and us hugging each other, and we can say, I forgive you, and I hope that you can forgive me as well. So we can use our eternal, beautiful minds coupled with the light of discernment, knowing that thought is life, to already create a new reality for ourselves. Why wait, as Sunshine proposed, for a new reincarnation? Some people may say, oh, if I don't do it in this lifetime, I will do it in the next one. I can push this under the carpet. Yes, we could. But why wait? Why not now? Why not start creating a beautiful life for ourselves in the present and also in the future? As Sunshine often reminds us right here, we are responsible for the seeds that we plant in the gardens of our soul. So why not start planting seeds of joy and peace of mind, right, Sunshine?
Beautiful, Carol. Yes. And we see
Yes.
in this chapter how it plays out, how beautifully our characters are being regrouped through the therapy of forgetfulness and are reaching higher levels of forgiveness and love, right?
You're
We see
right.
that.
This
Yes.
is a living example for
It's
sure.
beautiful. Yes.
Yes. Shall we continue?
Yes.
Yes.
In
Oh,
light of the ongoing process, Fancini and Evelina's time was filled with pleasant and wonderful obligations, constantly supporting Mancini, Gaio, and Vera as they prepared for a new future, as well as providing untiring assistance to Elisa and Desiderio, who were now both suitably hospitalized. Renewed through suffering, Ernesto seemed younger at heart, while Evelina, changed by all these new experiences, seemed to have matured. It was as if both had agreed to make adjustments in order to harmonize their ages. They shared the same ideas, they were involved in the same work. Aware of this gradual convergence, which was the automatic result of their ever increasing and more intimate togetherness in spiritual growth, Ernesto went to see Instructor Ribas respectfully, asking if it might be possible for him to get started right away on delving into his past in order to recover the memory of other lives. His mentor, however, wisely informed him, no, Fancini, for now that wouldn't be advisable. You and Evelina are committed to long-time service on our plane. You will have many problems to solve and a lot of work to do. Desiderio, Elisa, Amancio, Brigida, Caio, Vera, Tullio, Evelina, and you all form a group of souls indebted to one another before the laws of God for many centuries now. All of you are mutually entwined in a context of expiation, much like chemical elements boiling in a crucible for the purification that is needed. Other members of the group will arrive over time for a complete victory, based on the foundations of the love that is still far off. We're all, myself included, part of a huge family. And with a friendly smile, he said, but I think we should pause, shouldn't we?
yes, of course, Sunshine. Lead the way, please.
So I was very touched by Nesta being so um, inspired by the work he's doing and saying, just like a little child, I want to now take on other lifetimes right away. I want to work on everything I've done in the past. And then Reaper is like a very kind father saying, oh, Ernesto, hold your little horses. You'll be busy for hundreds of years with all the characters that you're working on right now in this constellation. So that is just very, very touching, isn't it?
For sure.
So what I want to put an emphasis on is the fact that when Ernesto and Evelina met, they were not blood family. However, they're working on both sides of their family members, and they were actually very much related, even to previous incarnations already, which for us is actually a nice reminder that we take care also of our universal family. Those people that are in our lives, whether they are easy relationships or more challenging relationships, but go beyond our so-called blood ties in this incarnation, because we see how many members there are that are actually part of our family, and they may not be blood in this lifetime. It's kind of like the picture that I see is like when we go into a forest, we see mushrooms at a certain time in the year. And as soon as we see a few mushrooms, we know that due to the mycorrhiza underneath the ground, there's so many more. So in other words, we're like mushrooms. We just have these few people in our blood family in this lifetime, but we hopefully keep in our minds and in our hearts that there is so many more members. And hopefully, and this is the invitation that we're receiving today, is to recommit to all the people that are in our lives right now, incarnated, but it also is excarnated spirits that may surround us, so that we can extend our love and care to them, hopefully just as much as our blood family. We are reminded of Jesus, who taught us that lesson too when he was on the cross. He said to Mary, Mary, this is your son John, when John was next to Mary. And he said to John, Mary, this is your son John. And to John, John, this is your mother Mary. Yes. So Jesus was really making sure that we are not too myopic in our focus only on our blood ties, but also beyond. And the other thing that I find very interesting is the fact how both Rebus as well as Ernesto and everyone else in this story, and of course in other books we've read, are so obedient. They're so in line with those who are more evolved than they are, to follow the guidelines. And I think that is just a very important lesson for us too, to observe how obedient am I? How obedient are we? Are we really capable and willing to consent our reason to guidelines by those who may know better than we are? We're so easily rebellious and push up against people telling us things, and they might be on a personal level, but also on a political level and on a world level. So it is really, we're invited again to learn from these spirits in this book about order, about structure, about obedience, to surrender our reason to the guidelines of those who are more informed, that know more than we do. So this is really, right, Carol? This is
right, Sunshine, so beautiful. Thank you for nourishing our souls in so many beautiful ways. I wrote the therapeutic question on the comments. So we can all remember to assess ourselves and our souls, as Jesus, our Master, has told to Nicodemus in the book Good News. We must not forget to feel the scriptures, and this is how we do it. by bringing the teachings close to our hearts. So thank you for helping us to feel the scriptures.
Thank you.
Sunshine. And before we continue, let us say hello to the friends who just joined us. Hello, Hipólito. Welcome, dear friend. Hello, Nor Brazil. Big kiss to
Hello.
you.
Thank you for
Hello.
joining.
Hello, VG. Yes, we are all trying to progress together. This is why Kardec Radio is here, so we can support one another in our progress. We are all literally on the same boat, right, Sunshine?
For sure.
The boat of the school of the earth,
Oh,
that's for
yes.
sure, right?
And
Thank
those who
you,
speak,
VG.
speak, and those who speak for themselves first and foremost, right?
For sure, we are
Yeah.
here to learn foremost because we
Yeah.
have probably greater responsibility before our own
Yes.
consciousness and our enormous list of bets. Right, Sunshine?
Right, right,
Thank you for
right,
the
right.
therapy of forgetfulness, God. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Shall we continue?
Yes, let's.
Yes.
There are thousands of individuals here who are in the same situation as we are. We're all working and striving for redemption, beginning with the perfecting of ourselves in the recesses of our individual worlds. While on earth, we have no idea of the number of obligations waiting for us after death. No doubt, every worthwhile undertaking must be structured. First, the planning, then the actual execution. In the physical realm, we idealize the continuation of life in the spirit world. In the spirit world, we plan the correction, readjustment, improvement, and betterment of the same life in the physical realm. We're travelers from cradle to grave and from grave to cradle, being reborn both on earth and in the spirit world as many times as necessary, continually learning, renewing, rectifying, and progressing in conformance with the laws of the universe until we achieve perfection, our common destiny.
This means that Evelina and I may reincarnate in the future among the very same spirits for whose improvement we are working together. How beautiful is that? We see the law of action and reaction in operation here. And we see what a blessing reincarnation truly is. That before we reincarnate, there is incredible planning done on the spiritual realm. And often we reincarnate amongst the very same group that we find ourselves in. So, if we have children, dear friends, if we are parents or if we are educators, we shall take our role with a lot of responsibility because very possibly we will reincarnate in the future as our very own great children, for instance. So, if we would like to receive the Spiritist teachings, we shall teach it to our children ourselves, because what we sow, we reap. So, if we want to reap the opportunity to continue enlightening ourselves, let us sow enlightenment amongst our group, both the nuclear group and the universal group, because then we shall have a tiny, teeny little seed of merit in the future, hopefully, to reincarnate somewhere where Spiritism is, because we are receiving the confirmation that we more often than not reincarnate within the same circle. Why? This book shows it to us ever so beautifully, because we reincarnate in the same circle as many times as necessary to readjust all the pieces. Like a machinery, the machinery will work at its optimal level once all the little pieces are readjusted. This is what reincarnation is for us to readjust ourselves with the oil of peace and love and fraternity. Right, sunshine?
Yes, beautiful, Carol. Yes, thank you for bringing that
Thank
to us.
you.
Yes.
So we continue?
Yes.
Yes. Who knows? It's more than possible. It's obvious. So we have the confirmation here. Hooray!
Yes. The instructor had not finished his explanation when Ernesto, like a boy opening his heart to his father, stated shyly, Instructor Ribas, Evelina and I have been thinking. Fancini felt awkward and couldn't finish the sentence. Ribas himself completed it with good humor. We know that the two of you are thinking of a praiseworthy and understandable marriage, now that you're aware of the enormous task of transformation and improvement that will take place for quite some time under your guidance in the spirit group to which you are connected. Do you see anything keeping us from it? None whatsoever, since both Elisa and Caio have already freed you from any love commitments to them. Just as a tiny aside, I
Yes,
think it's really important to notice that the love commitments need to be expired for them to enter into a new relationship, which of course also refers to us on earth, right? So it's like it's an important, and we also see that in fulfilling the duty as such an important aspect in renunciation in the relationship between Alcyone and Charles, where Alcyone keeps telling Charles, we can't get involved, even though we both love each other dearly, because we have not fulfilled our individual duties yet. Right, Carol?
Yes, it's a beautiful thermometer for us to know if we are connecting higher with the superior spirits that love us, if we are able to fulfill our moral duties. In the Gospel, according to Spiritism, there is a little dissertation on the topic of duty, and the experimenters say that moral duty is the hardest to fulfill because there are no witnesses to it. It's just between God and ourselves. But we know how willing we are to connect with the higher minds depending upon the effort that we put towards meeting this moral duty guidelines which our consciousness and heart dictate for us, right, sunshine?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Carol.
Thank
Yes,
you.
very important.
Yes.
Slightly embarrassed, Fancini was about to say something else when an assistant from the Institute summoned him to accompany Evelina to the physical world right away to assist Vera, who was now very advanced in her pregnancy. Saying goodbye, the mentor added with a smile, Don't worry, Ernesto. We'll think it over. Fancini and his companions spent their days working diligently. Little by little, they realized how many responsibilities they would have to assume in order to guarantee a relatively trouble-free rebirth for a spirit as sickly as Mancini, who required constant attention so that a miscarriage would not damage the overall plan. They realized that there were not so many concerns in thousands of other cases of reincarnation. There were spirits that adjusted to the physical world through the process of reincarnation as easily as a hand fits into a glove. In other situations, there were spirits returning to the physical sphere who were so highly evolved that their mere presence was enough to keep troublesome spirits away, as well as to provide peace of mind to the mother. Tullio, however, was not among those who lightly touched the powers of the spirit in order to revel almost completely in all the pleasures and mechanisms of the physical world, nor had he reached the condition of those who simply touched dense matter only in order to seek the energy for their sustenance, more than anything else in the tasks and endeavors of the spirit world. He was neither standing at the beginning of the mount of evolution, nor had he reached the highest levels. He was a man of average learning and virtue, displaying acute sensibility derived from his own need of improvement in light of the debts contracted in previous lives. Any disturbances in the maternal environment upset him, and the slightest problem led him to regrettable indispositions. Of course, he was kept in a therapeutic sleep as part of the labor-intensive treatment for a judiciously supervised return to the terrestrial arena, but which in the human realm is simply called pregnancy, as if pregnancy, according to such a short and simplistic definition, were a meaningless and equal event for all reincarnating spirits, which analogous repercussions for the mothers who shelter them. However, it is important to recognize the fact that the spirit's therapeutic sleep, together with the fetus development, is characterized by many degrees and therefore is not always ruled by complete unconsciousness. Shall we pause?
We shall, please, Sunshine.
It is beautiful to once again see, as a result of the description that we're receiving of Tullio Mancini's reincarnation pregnancy, really, how amazingly orchestrated, overlooked, cared for, taken care of we all are. It's not just Tullio Mancini, as we learn. He's just an average spirit. He is just in the middle of the curve. So he's nothing like a super highly evolved spirit or anything. No, it is, we all receive this intense care.
Yes.
And when we really realize how long and Nestor and Evelina worked on themselves to actually reach a point of being available to help their families on both sides coming together, plus all the high-level spirits who are involved guiding them. It is, for us, so important to see the sacred moment of pregnancy. And as they say, it is the judiciously supervised return to the terrestrial arena,
Yes.
which we just so simply call pregnancy. And to know that when a pregnancy is wanted and taken care of by the incarnates, the mother and the father involved, what a sacred opportunity it is for everyone involved. And but to also know that if there is a miscarriage, there is a reason for that as well, and to always keep in mind that abortion is not the answer. It is just, I mean, seeing how much work it takes for a pregnancy to even start. There's so many departments also involved on the spirit side, right? That we, with our will, our own free will, would just take the axe to it, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
It's just really, and we're not saying that with judgment. We're just saying that to raise awareness to it, because we know it's never an easy decision, but it's important for us to know and to pass on that knowledge so that we can all help our own selves and others to not prolong the pain, the what is the word? The expiatory pain for making choices that are not aligned with God's will. Right, Carol?
Right, Sunshine. Thank you so much for this important and immortal reminder for the soul. And we would just like to add a little tiny bit of information to what you said, in that even when the pregnancy from the physical perspective is quote unquote unexpected or unplanned, the experimenters do consult the mother and the father during sleep time when the spirit is partially emancipated from the body, and the parents to be are asked for their consentment, and the pregnancy only materializes when there is such a consentment. So even if in the physical realm the pregnancy is a surprise or apparently unplanned, in the spiritual realm, excuse me, there is a lot of planning taking place. And this is why, dear friends, we would like to take you in our journey today exactly to this point where the future mother of our dear Desiderio is being consulted upon during physical sleep. Andre Lewis shows us a living example of exactly this very process. So now we are going to go to page 234 and zoom in to this beautiful, loving consultation on the part of the spirit mentors to show us yet another dimension of God's divine providence with regards to every pregnancy process on the earth, because God's laws are immutable. So it's not like it happens to sunshine but not to other people. No, it happens to everyone. So let us see God's loving providence into action. We are going to start with the young mother. Would you like to guide us, Sunshine? The young mother on
The
page
young mother whose
234.
mhm. the
Thank you.
young mother You're welcome. The young mother whose body was resting in the world of dense matter found herself in spirit far from the surroundings of home and gladly focused on the joy of being useful. Filled with filial affection, she returned to Rebus, with whom she had a previous understanding, and said, her name, the young mother's name, is Mariana, right?
Right.
And she is about to take on the pregnancy of Mancini, right?
Desiderio.
Desiderio. Right.
Desiderio. Mm-hmm.
It,
Oh, dear Father, I'm sorry. I was so mesmerized by the process that I forgot I
I
had to
know.
read. So, dear Father, I shall fulfill God's will by accepting one more child. I shall anticipate your watch and care. My husband Joaquin is getting weaker and more sickly. I wash and iron. I work as much as I can, but I earn very little. Poor little children, I don't know if you're aware of it, but rain gets into our shack. When the wind blows through the holes in the wall, Joaquin gets worse and has coughing fits. I'm not complaining, my father, but I'm asking for your help.
Oh, Mariana, replied the instructor, touched. Don't be afraid. God never forsakes us. Your children will be looked after, and very soon Joachim and you will be living in a huge house.
I trust God and I trust you.
The selfless woman didn't realize that Rebus was referring to the couple's upcoming discarnation, when, due to genuine marriage, they would live together in a new home in the greater life. It is so heartwarming to see that a couple that is on the verge of excarnation because they're both sick and weak and overworked with 4 children and poor are meeting in the, and that's what we talked about earlier, right, Carol?
Right,
That no
Sunshine.
pregnancy is by chance, is in during her sleep time meeting with Rebus to take on yet another pregnancy, to be of service, to make herself useful, to fulfill her duty, to fulfill what is the law of labor is for expiation and for learning. She's
Yes.
willing, she's willing to be useful again in her
Yes.
last stage. And she's so filled with faith that she is ready to surrender her 4 children plus her own body and her husband to this process that
Yes.
that Rebus is explaining to her. It is so much for us to learn to surrender to God's will, to align ourselves with God's will, with faith and always ready to be of service, to be useful. Right, Carol?
Yes, Sunshine, beautifully put. And we have, as we said, right here, a living proof that no matter the circumstances, every parent on this earth is consulted and is asked for their conscious permission to serve as an instrument for the reincarnation of a spirit who, Mentor Rebus teaches us, is part of the same circle that we have been readjusting with time and again. So pregnancy is sacred. We learn with the light of discernment that Spiritism brings because we are redeeming ourselves from our past by making ourselves useful according to the most sacred mission that is. We are becoming literally mediums of God when we gestate or collaborate with the gestation of a body for a reincarnating spirit. So, thanks to Spiritism, we have this awareness, and with this awareness comes responsibility. And what's most beautiful in Mariana's case is that she is so reverent to this responsibility that she, as Sunshine beautifully said, embraces that fifth child selflessly despite the very difficult circumstances. Right, Sunshine?
Yes, and she's being promised a huge house. And that is so beautiful, right? A
Yeah.
huge house. And that is really our promise too, that Jesus told us that there's many dwellings in my house, right?
Yes,
So as we
exactly.
fulfill our duty and we align our will with God's will, always being of service, we too will be getting a huge house. Not on
Yes,
this
and
sphere,
yes,
but
and
in
no
heaven.
mention here, but
No,
definitely
the real
dwelling
mansion.
in the real world, yes. And
Yes.
now we're gonna move directly to the moment of Mariana's discarnation. So we see how she's cared for immediate 5 days after she gives birth to Desiderio reincarnated, excuse me. So we're gonna go to a beautiful moment on page 237 where Andre Lewis says certain that
Mhm.
Mariana had completed her final sacred task, Sunshine.
Placed in the arms of her benefactors, the baby, Mariana placed in the arms of the benefactors the baby they were so anxiously awaiting. She discarnated 5 days later. Discarnate benefactors received the devoted mother while kissing the little one. In the flower-surrounded house, there was a mixture of farewell and arrival, sadness because of death and joy because of life. Brigida wept and smiled. Amancio reflected, touched by emotions and thoughts of renewal. Ernesto and Evelina in prayers of joyful gratitude for the mercy of Providence, noticed with wonder that to both Mariana in the coffin and Desiderio in the cradle, God had sent the blessing of a new day.
Oh, wow.
It's so touching.
So beautiful.
That evening, a small flying carriage in the shape of an iridescent star dropped Fancini and his companion off in their spirit colony. They both headed for the Institute of Spiritual Watch Care, where caring and friendly souls showered them with flowers. Lampposts lit with polychromic light circled all the buildings, highlighting their architectural lines in splashes of beauty. The place was celebrating the two workers who, with devotion and humility, had managed to overcome all the initial difficulties in the construction of a blessed future. Surrounded by advisors, Rebus greeted them at the door and embracing them, which is Ernesto and Evelina, like beloved children, he lifted up his eyes on high and prayed.
Wow.
Do you want to do the final prayer?
Sure, let us have this moment be our final prayer, dear friends, because Professor Reber's words are really filled with light, hope, and joy for all of us. So, if possible, let us close our eyes and take in these words as healing drops of light for our eternal souls. Lord Jesus, bless your servants who consecrate themselves to each other today in sublime union. Illuminate evermore their yearnings for your kingdom through the selflessness that has helped them forget difficulties and offenses, focusing only on assisting their companions of the journey, even when such companions struck them in the heart. O Master, teach them that happiness is an ongoing endeavor, that a marriage must be renewed every day in the domestic intimacy of the home, where our faults are extinguished through mutual tolerance, so that our soul may find perfect unity before you in the light of love eternal. So be it.
So be it.
We truly thank Mentor Rivas for ending our journey, filling all of our hearts with the purity of love eternal. So now we can carry the certainty that not only life goes on, but love goes on, right, Teddy? Teddy knows it as well. Look, he's celebrating with us. Thank you, Teddy. You got it. He's a spiritus dog, everyone.
He's agreeing.
He is practicing for his next reincarnation.
Yes.
Congratulations, Teddy. We are all celebrating the beauty of love eternal because now we know that not only life goes on, right, Daddy? But also our loving ties shall go on forever as well. So let us take these beautiful lessons to heart and allow them to continue nourishing our souls. And if, dear friends, you are wondering, what is going to come next? What is going to be coming up for us? We have an answer. Would you like to break the good news to everyone, Sunshine, please?
Sure. Yes, we're excited to announce that starting next Friday, we'll be continuing
Next Saturday, actually.
Not Friday?
Next
Okay.
Saturday. So I'm going to
Next-
write it here. Next
Yes.
Saturday.
Next Saturday, we will be starting our study with the book Liberation.
Yay!
Another book by Andre Louise, and we're
Yeah.
excited to read and discuss it with so many immortal lessons involved.
Yes,
so everyone is
absolutely.
warmly invited to join us next Saturday at the same time,
Yes.
1:30, right?
Yes, 1:30.
Eastern Standard Time,
Yeah.
10:30
Pacific
West Coast time.
Yes.
And so that's our big news.
Yay, fantastic. Not only life goes on, but opportunities to serve, learn, and love go on. In this book, dear friends, we will see. Nora Brazil is saying, yay, we too. We want to continue learning, Nora. Yay, bless Jesus for this beautiful opportunity. Yes, we are together, Josine. You're right. Hi, Lu Nicoliello. Big kiss to you. And in this book, Liberation, dear friends, we will most definitely have a blessed journey together, because in this book we will see the miracles that the love of a motherly heart can do. So it's beautiful. It's a beautiful gift from the mentors of Kardec Radio that we ended this book celebrating the sacredness of motherhood. And we will begin the book Liberation, glorifying it yet again, because we see how a mother is able to free one spirit, one very hardened spirit, from the shackles of his own pain and his own past. So in the book Liberation, we will find a little bit of each of us, and together we will continue learning for immortality. Right, Nora Brazil? We also love learning. Yes, you're right. Right on. Learning, we shall go on. Right, Sunshine?
Yes, right, Carol.
So thank you, dear friends, for this beautiful and blessed journey. We will be back 1 week from today at 1:30 p.m. on Kardec Radio with the book Liberation, to continue nourishing our souls together. Bye, friends.
Bye.
Many blessings.